Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Tony Snesko here. That's S-N-E-S-K-O. And I'm the founder of Idaho Carry and Second Amendment 2014. There was a statement made earlier that there are gun groups in Idaho that oppose this legislation. I am the founder of the largest organization in Idaho, and I know of no other Idaho organization that is against this. I'm an ex-Los Angeles police officer, a retired private investigator. In last week, Obama's weekly radio address, he gave us ammunition to shoot down MoveOn's effort to kill this legislation. He said, an estimated 1 in 5 women is sexually assaulted at college, and that's totally unacceptable. And he wants state capitals and college campuses across our country to step up. That's his word, step up, to help the individuals and families who suffer from these heinous and sexual and other assaults. Mr. Obama has unwittingly given another great reason why our Idaho legislature should pass SB1254. As an ex-police officer, I would let you know that police officers do not prevent crime. We take reports. We show up after the crime has been committed. They never stop a rape. They never stop a shooting. It may be prevented while it's in their presence, but it doesn't happen. A question for the college presidents is, why aren't your security officers armed? Why aren't they trained? What happens when someone starts shooting? Unarmed security guards are babysitters. In District 22, I have provided you with the Boise police response times and also the codes that explain the abbreviations on the spreadsheet. The response time in the last column is the length of time it took officers to get to the scene. What are not included in any of those reports are the university reports. There's no must-report provision for the university with law enforcement. So there are many more incidents that occur that you do not know about. The call boxes that are on campus.
Oh, please wrap up, Mr. Snesko. Thank you.
Okay. That was 3 minutes.
It goes quick. It goes very fast.
Okay. Well, I guess I've taken my 3 minutes. You've also received my bumper sticker, which is gun-free zones are victim zones. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I appreciate. I've also gotten your written communications to me and to others. I appreciate that. Are there questions for Mr. Snesko? Great. Thank you. We have Mark Browning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mark Browning, representing North Idaho College, the students, the faculty, the staff, administration, and the Board of Trustees. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I had prepared testimony I wrote on the plane down last night coming in from Coeur d'Alene. After hearing some of the comments this morning, I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't Senator Davis eloquent or President Burnett eloquent. Those are very difficult orators to follow, but I thought it was pretty good. I'm going to scrap that. Senators, you have a very difficult decision in front of you today. I do not envy your position at all. I thank you for your service to the students and to the parents and to the citizens of Idaho. I'm a fifth-generation proud son of one of the greatest names in the gun industry. My first name is Jonathan, after the Jonathan Browning. I say that name to you with great pride and respect. I hope someday to be able to meet my great-great-great-grandfather and ask him, what happened that I didn't get a little more of your brilliance and insight? I believe with this great right that we have to carry arms comes great responsibility. There's been comment today about appropriate places to carry a firearm. It's up to you to make that decision what's appropriate. We have young children on our campus, toddlers, infants. Yesterday when I left campus to go to the airport, I passed 4 school buses from the Coeur d'Alene School District. 3rd and 4th graders on campus for a math counts competition. I love seeing the kids on campus. It reminds us why we're there, to help change lives. I would ask that as you consider your decision, consider the comments of some of the folks earlier of what we do locally. We have 5 citizens of Kootenai County who are elected to be responsible to the moms and dads who send their students to us to be educated. They're held accountable when they go to the grocery store, when they go to the basketball game, when they go to church. They're held responsible by their friends and neighbors. This bill would have a serious impact on their ability to do their job. I know many of you have been there. I know you've been in those local halls and at those local school boards. It's a difficult thing that's in front of you today. Local authority is a very strong issue, and it's up to you to balance the needs of one over the needs of others. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I would just say that the bill states that there is a de minimis effect on the fiscal impact. Initial implications at our college put some of those estimations at about $140,000 and going up to armed security and to do some of the training for some of the implications of the bill. We're in a declining enrollment. We're down 10% from last fall, another 3% this spring. That's about $2.5 million for North Idaho College. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions for Vice President Browning? Great. Thank you for your testimony. We have Paul Jagosh.
Thanks for making me go before my chief. Now I'm really going to get in trouble. My name is Paul Jagosh, and I represent the Idaho Fraternal Order of Police. We are the largest police organization in Idaho, and we represent members from all across the state. And we support Senate Bill 1254 because we believe that a responsible, law-abiding, and mentally sound person is the best response to an active shooter situation. Last time this bill was presented, we supported it because we believe it's the right thing to do, and we believe lives will be saved with responsible people and law-abiding citizens having guns available to protect themselves. You know what? We're not alone. I heard comments last time of, well, you're just Idaho police officers. I think someone used the term hickorbilly or hillbilly cops or something like that. We're not alone. Police One is one of the foremost comprehensive and trusted sources of information for police officers, and they conducted one of the most comprehensive studies and surveys of officers across the nation. And I think it's very important to note that the officers surveyed are the ones who actually work the streets, the ones who come face to face with gun violence, the ones who put their lives on the line dealing with gun violence. Not administrators, not elected sheriffs, but the actual officers in uniform, in patrol cars, who are having to be responding to this carnage. And I will say that 86% of those surveyed felt that casualties would have been reduced or avoided altogether if a law-abiding citizen with a gun was present during active shooter situations. More than 91% of the officers surveyed support concealed carry of firearms by civilians who have not been convicted of a felony or has mental illness problems. And the FOP believes that this should extend to college campuses as well. You hear stuff about, well, if a kid gets stressed, he's going to shoot a professor, or we have kids on campuses. I hate to break it to you, but guns are allowed on campuses right now. There are no preventative measures to prevent someone from bringing a gun on campus. And unfortunately, there's going to be delays in our response. And there are so many variables that affect our response that we can't really say, okay, it's going to be 30 seconds, 2 minutes. There's so many variables that affect that. And I guess we're asking, how many people have to die while you're waiting for us? I'm telling you, we will put our lives on the line. We will die for you while everyone else is running out of the building. Your police officers will be running to this maniac shooter to do everything they can and put their life on the line to protect you. But unfortunately, there is going to be delays in our response, and it's unfortunate. We believe that law-abiding, mentally sound people should have the right to carry guns, and I respect the rights of both people here. But I would ask that you would take heart and listen to the experts, and the experts are the ones who deal with gun violence on a daily basis. We're the ones that are going to have to respond to these active shooters. We're the ones that are going to have to deal with this stuff. We're the ones that train for it, training other officers to do it, the SWAT officers, your tactical officers, your use of force instructors, and we believe it's a good bill.
Great, thank you. Questions?
That was quick.
Senator, it goes by really fast. Senator Lodge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul, I was in a meeting with you at 7 o'clock this morning where you were very concerned about public safety. So can you tell me how you can relate what you were speaking about this morning in public safety, which happened to be about crime, with people being allowed to carry guns on campus?
Officer Jagosh.
Yes, I mean, Senator McKenzie, Senator Lodge, yes, people are allowed to carry guns on campus right now. I mean, there's a rule that says, a piece of paper that says guns aren't allowed, but there's nothing to prevent them. So I've yet to see a homicidal maniac say, you know, I'm planning on going to kill a bunch of people, but there's a rule that says I can't have a gun on campus. So we believe, based on our training and experience on the studies that we do, that this will actually make public safer.
Thank you. Senator Stennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned training, and when you come into chaotic situations, there is you want to be able to overcome any fear to be able to do that. How much training is required of you, and on what regularity, so that you can handle situations like that?
Officer Jagosh.
Senator McKenzie, Senator Stennett. Extensive training for me personally. For my specialty assignments, I've had extensive training. For the average officer, they go through a course through the academy, and then we'll do every few years updated training.
Go ahead.
So it would be, the frequency would be every few years to stay current? Or is that more frequently, or depend on what it is that you're training?
Senator McKenzie, Senator Stennett. You know, that's dependent on the department. I mean, some departments get phenomenal training, and some departments are struggling just to keep up on their qualifications.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Work.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry, I forgot your name as well.
It's Paul.
Paul, thank you for testimony. I wanted to clarify, you indicated that support for this bill, but I also heard you say that it sounds like you would support concealed carry anywhere on a college campus. Your organization would.
Senator McKenzie, Senator Stennett, yes.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, may
Go
I
ahead.
continue? Thank you. Paula, I've been trying to figure this out. In some places I see that when police fire at people, it's 1 in 6 times they hit something, the person that they mean to hit. I also see statistics about 30%. The one thing that I understand your testimony that you want a good guy with a gun in there with a bad guy with a gun. My question is, if police manage to hit, let's give you the 30%. I'll give you the 30% today. If you manage to hit what you shoot at 30% of the time in a situation where you're trained to hopefully stay relatively calm, and I'm not going to say that you guys are Superman and you go in there like we see in the movies and they're, you know, everything's perfectly calm. What would you consider to be the potential strike rate on the target from a person that has an enhanced carry permit that they got, 5 years ago, where they shot 90 rounds in a range? I mean, can we extrapolate that we're going to be, 10% at best, unless you're, within a foot of the person you're shooting at? Or how are we looking at where bullets are going to end up when we have untrained people responding in an emergency situation?
Senator McKenzie, Senator Work. The answer to that is I don't know. I mean, it depends. depends on that person's level of training. It depends on their ability to deal with stressful situations. I can tell you, I've been the first officer on scene of 3 separate shootings, and it is chaotic and stressful. I relied on my training, but I would say that, like, majority of officers believe that just the presence, the thought that someone might have a gun is going to prevent someone from actually showing up on a campus. Majority of these situations are pre-planned and premeditated. They're not just a spontaneous attack. And so if that person knows that, hey, there's someone there that may have a gun, they may think twice about doing that. To go back to your question, it's going to depend greatly on that person's training and their abilities, but we've considered that. We've considered, okay, when we're responding into these things, how do we going to identify the good guy from the bad guy? And we don't just run in and guns blazing and shoot everyone has a gun. There's information that we get when we're responding, what the person's looking like. And again, what Dakota Moore went to, I would imagine during that training that the lawyers and the law enforcement officers would be telling them how to respond appropriately. The next thing is that I believe that a law-abiding citizen with a gun, the shooting would be over before we got there if they were there to protect themselves.
Follow.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Paul, I appreciate that. I just wanted to point out a contradiction in what you just said. The implication of what you said was that if people knew that other people were carrying weapons, that college campuses would be a safer place. The issue that I have with the statement is that college campuses, which generally speaking don't allow the carrying of weapons are safer places than their surrounding communities. If colleges were seen as a no-gun zone where I can go and shoot people down because there's nobody there, then that shouldn't be operative here. So I appreciate your testimony, but I would point out that the statistics do not support that kind of idea that if we have armed campuses, that somehow they're safer because people won't enter them with the purpose of committing violent acts. So I appreciate your testimony, though, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Other questions? Oh, Senator Lodge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul, I was just thinking, how many members do you have in your FOP organization?
We have 1,500 members across the state.
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Did you state that you had contacted all the members and that all the members were in support of the bill?
Our process is to go through our legislative committee and our board of directors who are spread out throughout the state. They are supposed to talk to their individual lodges and get their input, and then they're the voice that responds back to us. So I can't tell you if every member was contacted, but the board members that were elected by our members and elected our legislative committee supported us and gave us the permission, I guess, here to testify on their behalf. Am I going to say that every 1,500 are absolutely supporting what we say? No. I mean, you're never going to find that in any organization, but a large majority of them believe that, and we go with the nationwide trend of other officers as well.
Just a little follow-up. How many members of the board, how many people actually were in that discussion?
Our board, I believe, has 8, and then we have an additional 5 or 6 that are on our legislative committee.
Okay.
And they're spread out throughout the state.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you for your testimony. We have Deanna Saylor next, and then after that, Aaron Tribble.